everybody.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of Run Till You're Done. Tonight's guest he's held the record in the past for being Scottish half marathon champion, so it's safe to say the guy's pretty rapid. And he has also won Inverclyde Sports Personality of the Year. Thank you for coming on, John Byrne.
Thanks for having me.
The first question that we like to ask all of our guests is, how did you get into running?
It's a strange one. I started obviously quite late, probably kind of early in mid-20s was when I started. I've done a little bit in school and things, just through kind of the normal stuff you do through PE and etc. and cross country and whatever. Then I never ran for maybe a decade or so. Then actually I done a marathon for Help for Heroes when I had left the military, and through that a few friends that I worked with heard about it. Then they started getting me to run home with them from work, and then I kind of started doing the park run. Then it just kind of started from there and spiraled out of control.
As it does with most of us. You say you were in the military. Did you do any exercise? Obviously in the military you would have been doing that, but did you do any running?
Yeah. So at phase 1 for me, I was 16 when I went in, down at Winchester. So we did 6 month soldier training. So there's a lot of phys then. You're doing sometimes 3 phys sessions a day. And through that, I've done quite well. I was the fittest soldier. I get that award at the passing out parade in front of about 3,000 parents. And a few other things for winning kind of march and shoot tournaments and stuff. So always been probably naturally fit's not a nice word, but yeah, probably naturally quite fit.
And winning that award in the military, were you quite competitive amongst your squaddies?
Yeah, you always are. Obviously, you're young, there's 10, 12 of you in a room, you all want to be better than the other. A lot of kind of masculine energy, if you will. But most of the time it's fear when you do your kind of mile and a half and things like that for your PFTs. It's more just the corporal shouting at you, you're running out of fear more than anything. But yeah, no, always been super competitive. So it's nice to try and win everything you can for me.
And what was your first actual race that you got into?
If you don't include kind of park run and things like that, it would have been the Great Scottish Run Half Marathon. I'm not even sure what year that would have been, but my wife and our mum were running it and they signed me up. So I jumped in with them in the pink wave, whatever the back wave was at the time. So that would be my first kind of proper road race.
You say you've done park run. Do you do that often?
Not as much. I used to go down weekly and not as much do it. I would just go down and cheer people on and run people in and help friends out and things like that. But it's the way my sessions are, I'm kind of Tuesday, Friday for my big session. So I maybe run it hard once a year. Been quite lucky. My last 2 hard ones last year and the year before they get the quickest in Britain that week for both of them. But I don't do it. I don't race it often though.
So quickest in Britain, what kind of time are we talking about there?
I think my quickest at the Greenock one was 14:30 flat. For the Greenock Park run, yeah.
I can't even get halfway at that. That's amazing. Have you done many park runs? Have you done the tourism thing or stayed pretty local?
Mostly local. I've done a few. If we're travelling and there's one nearby, I'll do them. I've done some in Perth and things like that. But yeah, if we're somewhere and there's a park run nearby, I'll do it. But I wouldn't travel for it just the way my training days are. They're quite set. I'm quite rigid with my stuff.
And what does your training schedule look like?
Do you want me to give you a kind of rough week? Is that okay?
Just roughly, what would be an average for you?
Typically, quite brief of it would be Monday is 2 easy runs. So running in the morning, running the afternoon, then I work back shifts. Tuesday, I'm normally at the track in the mornings. Then in the evening, I'll do either a threshold run, depending on what I did on the track, or I'll do hill reps. Then after that, I'll go to the gym and do weights on the Tuesday. Wednesday, 2 easy runs. Thursday, 2 easy runs. Friday, again, double session. Usually a road session, kind of 24k volume total, about 15k threshold-ish. Saturday's my kind of day off. I'll do 12, 15k easy. Then Sunday long run, which I tend to run probably faster than most would. I quite like a fast long run. So I'm probably kind of 3 30 to 350 a kilometre for my 15 plus miles every Sunday.
So what kind of miles or kilometers does that add up to for a typical week?
For a kind of normal, not in blocks or anything, not massive, probably 130-ish K for normal out of season blocks, and more if I'm in kind of half and full marathon blocks, a bit higher. But yeah, about 130-ish K probably.
And do you follow the average structure of like you would do your 3-week build, like over the 3 weeks, and then have a recovery week?
Kind of. Marathon wise, yeah. If I'm doing a marathon, I would do 3 up, 1 down. I think that's important purely just because the mental side, it's really, really hard. So I think the week down is the only thing that gets you through the 3 weeks up, is to be honest. But even my down week, it wouldn't be that down. I'd still probably be, if it was marathon training, 120 or so K for my down week. But yeah, but normal training, 10K half marathon, not really. I'll maybe just ease off the double sessions a little bit, but I won't really drop very much, no.
Do you target, like you're saying you do a block, do you target a race at the end, or do you do like sort of races during your block as training?
Yeah, so my kind of target just now, depending on what happens with the wife, is Friday nights, the Scottish 10,000 metres on the track. So I've been kind of aiming for that a little bit, but I've done a few 10-mile races leading into it, but again, just not tapering them down, just treating them as almost a threshold session straight through. But yeah, if I'm doing a 12, 14-week block, I'll probably race at least twice during that, just because, to be honest, I enjoy racing, so it's too long not to race.
You said depending on what's happening with your wife. What we haven't said so far is you're about to start a different kind of race, and your wife is due any time, and by any time I mean today. So
yeah. She's due today. It's her due date. She's been doing amazing. So she was at the gym today doing weights and things, so she's doing excellent.
Is that to induce labour, hopefully?
Yeah, I think she's a bit addicted to training. I think that's part of living with me, to be honest. But yeah, I think she's feeling better when she's moving instead of sitting about.
And is your wife is it fitness in general, or is she a runner also?
Doesn't run as much as I would love her to run. Yeah, no, she's probably more kind of gymming classes, but she does run. She's run some quick times, kind of 45-minute 10K, probably her best. She's not got the same time I've got to kind of devote to it. She's a busy job, so like 45 minutes and about a 1:45 half marathon, I think she's run Glasgow.
Yeah, that's definitely a runner.
Yeah. We've got some quick times, yeah.
And you say hopefully you can run this 10,000 metres. What's your current PB for that at the moment?
On the track, I've only done 2 in my life actually on the track. It's 30, I think it's 30:02 on the track. So hopefully quicker on Friday night if I'm allowed and the weather holds.
You said that you obviously did a lot of physical activity in the military, and what is it your job is now?
So I work with a leisure company, Enrique Leisure. I'm their lead trainer for the company. So I was a personal trainer in Glasgow. Then I started running a bit more, and I come back down where I stay in Gourock. So I now work with, we've got about 7 gyms. It's a huge, kind of big company. So I deal with the 3 premium sites, if you will. Teach a lot of classes and effectively upskill the staff and run some CPDs and things like that for them, just to try and deliver as best a service we can. I teach a lot of cycling classes, running classes, and that as well.
So do you count that as? Are you doing exercise during that? Is that part of your cross training, or?
It depends where I'm. If I'm injured, I'll jump on a bike for my cycling classes, and if I'm not, I won't. It depends what my training is looking like.
And when you're training, when it's the winter season, do you ever partake in cross country?
Yeah, yeah. If it wasn't for a club, I wouldn't. It's awful. But yeah, no, I do. I enjoy some of them. There's not as much as there were. The county champs have all kind of disappeared for us now. The Renfrews. But the districts and the Cumbernauld, the short course relays, I enjoy that. It's one of the most painful 4 kilometres on earth.
What club is it you run for?
Inverclyde Athletics.
So you say that you don't enjoy the cross country so much. What race would you say is your favourite to partake in?
So can I say any race? Yeah.
Yeah, anything you want.
Probably Glasgow, a Great Scottish Run. Just because I've got a lot of memories there and I've ran it tons of times. So yeah, probably Glasgow.
And I'm guessing with the times that you run, you're at the very front pen.
Not as far front as I would love, but yeah, my first run in Glasgow was about 1:46, something like that. My best finish is 5th up there. So yeah, I've been top 5. Been hanging in top 6 the last 3 years, something like that. I'd love to win it.
And for a race like that, do you take any gels or anything?
So for half marathons, no. Actually, I wouldn't take anything. I wouldn't take water unless it's really hot. Same for training. If I'm doing training runs up to 20 miles, I probably wouldn't take anything. Unless I was in a marathon block and try to train my stomach to use the gels or use carb fluids or whatever I was taking, I wouldn't take anything at all on board.
And is it just your standard, whatever brand of gel, or is there any particular thing that you would take?
If gel-wise, I would take it's SIS, maybe High Five, it's aqua gels. That's not got as much carbs as some of them, but I find it a little bit easier to take. So a lot of them are quite thick and you need a gel and a water at the same time. Whereas with the kind of aqua gels, you can just almost get a drink with the gel. And for me anyway, they sit a little bit better in my stomach. I've tried loads and my stomach's not great with gels.
Yeah, the aqua gels are about 22 grams per sachet. I always find that they're really watery, but it means you don't have to take water with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
so
they're good.
For the shorter races, do you tend to like carb load before the events, like have a big dinner the night before, or like a porridge or something like that before you do go out and run, or do you run fasted?
No, I wouldn't run fasted. If it was an early race, I'd just get up. I try and eat 3 hours before it, then nothing. I used to be a little bit closer. I used to eat maybe 2 hours, then have a wee snack leading into it, just because you're always starving. But no, I wouldn't do anything fasted unless it was easy runs in the morning. I would always just get up 3 hours early, eat it, then get back to bed if I can, and just lie down for a bit.
Do you take, like, if you were racing a half marathon, would you take a gel before it? Would you take caffeine or anything like
that? One coffee. I would take one coffee and nothing else before it. No gels, just my normal breakfast. And no water typically, unless it was a warm day. Especially if you're in a pack and you get through a water station and no one takes a water, you can't take one either. That's the rule.
Is that a military thing?
I'm not sure. I don't even know if that's a real thing, but that's where my head is. If they're not taking the water, I don't need the water, even if I'm absolutely dying.
I'm better than them.
Yeah.
And when you've finished your events and races, do you have a post-celebratory go-to meal or drink?
Probably meal. Probably get a pizza. If it didn't go very well, I've not earned it back at training. So but yeah, probably a pizza. Or if again after Glasgow, a group of us, maybe 10, 15 of us, go to DiMaggio's and get a wee pizza pasta deal after it and sit as a group and things. So yeah, probably pizza.
Nice.
And what flavour?
If I'm up there, probably a spicy chicken. If I'm down at home, probably a pepperoni.
And timing of the races, you're saying you get up, you have your breakfast. That's assuming the race is in the morning. Yeah. What about if the race was an evening race, I think?
Yeah,
that make
tough.
It makes you off.
Yeah, it's so the race on Friday. The schedule's not went out till tomorrow. But it's normally about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night we go, which is really tough on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Really half sleeping by then. So yeah, that's tough. So we probably have normal breakfast, then instead of having a kind of tea or a main meal, just have a big lunch, then almost just snack through the day, and then just hope that it's enough.
And you say you're half sleeping for the evening ones. That probably answered my next question that's just came to mind. Do you prefer morning, afternoon, or evening races?
Probably, I'm an 11 o'clock guy. So that's my perfect time. It means you can eat at 8, race at 11. There's not many at that time though. They're usually morning or, for us anyway, cross country. No, that's probably 2, half 2 for the senior men, which again is quite tough because it's a big breakfast, small lunch. But yeah, mid morning. It's probably my preferred time.
How much sleep do you get?
None. I'm a terrible sleeper. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, lucky if I get 4 or 5 hours some nights. It's probably one thing with training that's an issue. It's the one thing I struggle with, and I don't imagine a child coming along is going to make it much better.
No, I was about to say you're just practicing for being a parent. But
Yeah.
what I've said is when I became a parent, it was sleep deprivation. That's training you for a race where you're obviously not running all night because you're finished in 60 minutes, but it's training for being tired.
Yeah, I know, I'm looking forward to it, but yeah, no, sleep's definitely my weakness, I would say.
Have you ran anything beyond a marathon? Have you done an ultra marathon?
So in training, yeah, I've done loads. I've done some West Highland Way relays. I've crewed on a West Highland Way. That's probably where I'm going to go, to be honest. Straight to ultras. When I started, it was with ultra runners I started running with. I had never really had any intentions of running road races. I wasn't really that interested in times or anything. It was just kind of seeing how far I can go before my body disintegrates. But then I'd done a park running. My first park run was like 17:20 or something like that. So then I get kind of roped into clubs and a bit more road running. But yeah, ultras is definitely where I'm going to end up.
Yeah, good. That's what we want to hear because both of us are ultra runners. So, have you got any names that you're wanting to drop of who you were out running with?
Initially, it was the Cook twins who were good runners as well. When I first started, they got me running. Then Jude Bolton was my initial coach, more like a social worker at the time probably. So he took me on, and again I crewed him and things like that. But yeah, I've been on my own running wise since. I had Mark Pollard, who's now moved to Scottish Athletics. I think he's the head of endurance now. But for the last 4 or 5 years, I've just been on my own, coaching on my own, and I train on my own. Apart from David Tamburini, sorry, I better shout David out. He cycles with me. On my hard days, he cycles in front of me to take the brunt of the wind for where we live.
Out of all the things that you've won, raced, not necessarily even won, as I said, but what is your biggest running achievement? And it might have been, you said you came 5th in Glasgow. That's quite an achievement. What would it be for you?
Probably Inverness, 20 years now, 2025 last year, Inverness last year, the half marathon. That was, I kind of shocked him. I went up, I was maybe seeded 7th or something, like 2 minutes behind the front 4 or 5 guys. I had only just broke 67 minutes once. So yeah, to come away with the win up there and get the Scottish title was a massive surprise, and it was a war. It was like right down to the line. It was painful.
And how did you find the course? Yeah,
it was tough. Yeah, it's quite a hilly course for a fast time anyway. Even though the times are always quick every year, I think it's just the guys at the front. As it's hilly, but we went out relatively slow for what I thought. I thought we were going to kind of sprint off the line, but I think the first 5k was only about 15:40 or something like that. Then it just kind of got quicker and quicker. I think my 10 to 15k was maybe 15:10. Then it was just getting faster and faster and faster. Then me and Sean Chalmers kind of sprinting the last kilometre, which was just awful.
And do you wear a watch?
So not always, actually. I typically don't race with a watch. I know it's a bit, so sometimes if you see my results, it's went amazing and sometimes it's went awful. I'm very rarely in between. I'm a big believer in just going for it sometimes. One of my favourite quotes, I could quote use everything, is Steve P. Fontaine. It's the best pace is suicide pace, and today's a good day to die. So that's kind of how I run.
Because the reason I ask that is because when you're running these races and you realise like how fast you're going, when you set off in the first mile or so, do you ever go look at the watch and go, oh no, I've ran too fast in the first bit, or do you just roll with it?
No, all the time, yeah. always just look at it and think, oh my God, what am I doing? I think a good example that would be Edinburgh last year, maybe the half marathon. I'd won quite a few things, and I was trying to get my second Scotland selection. And I spoke to Scottish Athletics, and they said I had to do a half because I missed the championships. So I signed up to Edinburgh, and I was asking what I need to run to qualify, and I just get a message back. It just said fast. Yeah, that's great. So I signed up to Edinburgh. I had just done 3 10Ks, so I was just racing like mad. Went away down last minute. It's quite downhill at the start, and I wore a watch for that because I was trying to run a good time. And I went through the first 3K in like about 8:45 of the half marathon. Then it was the longest kind of 18 kilometres of my life. But yeah, I go out too quick quite a lot. That's what I mind.
Go out quick and hang on.
Yeah, it's if you want a time, it's not the best way of doing it. But if you're there and you know you're going to be running with the lead pack and you want to give it a bash, I really don't think a watch helps. Like, it never tells you anything positive. You're either going to look down, it's telling you you're going slower than you want to be going, so then it kind of mentally plays with you in a negative way. Or, as you said, you look down, you're going too quick, and you panic. So I don't really think it ever tells you anything good.
I guess you're thinking, am I going as fast as I need to go, or as fast as my body will let me go right now? And that's all you need to know.
Yeah, just learning to run the course. I think people can get sucked in, especially if if you have live pace on and not averages and stuff. If you're trying to run whatever 3:30 a kilometre and you're running up a big hill and you look at your watch and you see 4 minutes, you start to panic. You're not really taking into account that you're running up a big hill. So yeah, I think learning to run the courses helps a little bit as well. But yeah, no, I don't love a watch. I train with them obviously, but I don't race with them much.
I guess the only thing you could do would be put it on the heart rate, so it's just perceived effort versus actual effort. Do I feel like I'm going a certain pace? My heart rate says I am, but then I guess when you're doing a race, your heart rate's all over the place anyway because you're excited. So
yeah, for heart rate for me, if I'm on a treadmill, I'll run by heart rate sometimes. But again, if I'm doing like Friday, I did 2x5 kilometers on a treadmill, and I think on the second one, my heart rate was showing quite high. It was like 190, and it was so I just took my watch off and put it down, so I didn't want to see it.
That's good advice, actually.
Yeah, if I can't see it, I don't know. So
yeah. If it's not telling you what you need to know or what you want to know, if it's not saying you're doing awesome, then why bother?
Yeah.
And when you run these really, really fast times and, you podium and you come 5th and that, do you ever get the struggling with the stairs the next day, or is your body just so conditioned now that it just doesn't happen?
Sometimes, yeah. Depends on the course. If it's a really tough course, probably more so if there's a lot of downhill, it kind of wrecks your quads. Stairs, not so much. But yeah, sometimes I'm just a bit achy. But I'll run, typically after a race, I'll come home and go and run again. I'll do a 5K after it, just to flush your legs out. So that does help. Or I'll just go on the bike. I've got a turbo next to me in my living room, which my wife is raging about. But yeah,
it's not child friendly.
It's not, but I was hoping I was going to have a gym. We'd done the house up, and I thought it was going to be gym, but we get pregnant right away, so it's now a nursery and I've lost the gym.
I don't know, maybe the noise of it will settle the child.
Yeah, that's what I kept saying. You need to speak to Nicola for me.
So the next question on our set is, and it can be quite a philosophical one, why do you run?
Yeah. I could take a while to answer.
I'll take as long as you need.
Yeah, the answer to that's probably, I suppose, changed through the years of running for me. I first came to running as almost a way to kind of save my sanity a little bit. I was going through some tough times and it was an outlet. Then obviously you start progressing in the sport, then the running becomes the biggest stress in your life as opposed to the stress reliever for me. But I've got a lot of, it's probably not healthy, but a lot of self-worth tied up in running. A lot of value I put myself through running, and it's just kind of became who I am. So and I'm also too far in now. I've run too many thousand miles to stop. So I'm kind of all in. I've not got a choice at this point. But yeah, it makes me a better person. It's made me better. It's improved every aspect of my life.
It's probably an investment as well with the money you've more than likely spent on it as well.
These shoes are getting dearer and dearer, so they are.
No half. What
Is there
shoes do
any-
you run in? Sorry, Mike.
No, I was away to ask exactly the same thing.
So training wise for daily running, I typically run in Clifton's or Rincons Hoka for all my easy volume. Race wise, the Adios Pro 3s is what I was racing. I was Nike a little bit. I prefer Nike for the kind of 10k or under, but I think the Adidas, I don't know, they just suit the way I run a little bit better. Spike wise, I wear the ON spikes, actually, the Cloud spikes. So a little bit of everything.
Are the Pro 3s carbon?
Yeah, they've got carbon plates and they've got 5 carbon rods that mimic toes. They've got everything you can use to cheat possible.
What Nikes do you run in for your 10k? What's the word I'm looking for?
What version? Or
What version? That. Thank you.
it would be the Vapor Flies, not the new ones. Is it? I don't know, the 2s or the 3s. I'm not sure what they are. But I've always found them super narrow, and they kind of wreck my Achilles a little bit.
Right.
I think they're quite narrow as Adidas, and they're probably a little bit more aggressive of a shoe. But I find the foam a little bit softer, so it's not as aggravating on your calves and things.
And while you're running as fast as you can go, what do you think about during that?
Depends what point of race you're in. Sometimes I just want to stop. Yeah, no, if it's training and things like that, if I'm doing big sessions, obviously as I track this morning, a lot of the time it's kind of visualising upcoming events, thinking about where you want to be, thinking about the course. If you're struggling, think about how you're going to feel at X point of a race. So I think about that a lot. Or if it's maybe someone I'm trying to race with, I'll imagine they're in front of me and I'm trying to catch them all the time. But race-wise, yeah, trying to keep as clear ahead as possible, to be honest. You want to be as relaxed as you can for probably 80% of the race. Switching your brain off as much as you can until you really have to start racing. So ideally the answer to that would be nothing, but that's not always true. You're always just thinking, this is too quick, I'm going to die.
And do you have a mental strategy of when you are trying to chase the leader or if you are being chased?
Yeah, I'm not even sure what I'm better at actually, but yeah, if I'm chasing someone, it's always the first thing I would do is try and settle into their cadence rhythm. I know it sounds a little bit strange. If I can see their cadence is a little bit higher than mine, I'm almost always not going to catch them. So I try and slot into their cadence, then just try and slowly bring that tape back in, if you will, that kind of elastic band that inevitably snaps. I'm quite good at coming back from falling off. I don't really mind that. Sometimes I prefer to drop off a group and just run my own, so you can control your pace a little bit more. Being chased is a little bit different. That's almost just running in pure fear. And all you can think to yourself is don't look over your shoulder because they know you're tiring if you look over your shoulder.
I always find paranoia, being chased, is the biggest motivator that there is.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just hearing, even sometimes, obviously, a lot of the races, especially in Scotland, it's laps or something, so you're passing other people who are maybe on a lap behind you or whatever, but you can still hear footsteps. So then you just start imagining that second place or third, whoever it is, catching up with you. So it gives you a little edge to keep pushing. So you try to run to the point you can't hear footsteps is usually my goal.
So once you get into ultras, it'll be, can I hear that gate closing 100 meters behind me, sort of thing? Because you don't hear the footsteps much because they're off road. So
yeah, no, it's true.
While you're running a race, you're thinking, I just want to stop. It's hurting. How do you get around that? Have you got a mantra to yourself? What do you tell yourself?
I've probably a few things. I don't want to sound completely mental. I've got a few little things I say sometimes. I believe I can take a lot of pain. I think that's why I got good at running so late and so quick. I don't know if my background in my life and having kind of trauma in your past is quite common with, I don't use the word elite athletes, but elite athletes. So I believe that stuff that I've been through has served a purpose, and it's almost a gift to be able to take the pain of that. But yes, so sometimes I just repeat to myself, I am pain, face it, or a few other ones. Stephen Cook, who got me running, this was years ago, he said to me, when you start to feel pain, his advice was always, don't fight it. It's inevitable. So let the pain in, absorb it, then let it go. You know it's going to come. You can't avoid it during the race. If you try to run a quick time or win a race, you have to be in pain. And this too shall pass. I think Christian Blumenfeld's got quite a nice mantra. I can't remember exactly what it is, but he lost a race last year, the triathlete, and his mantra was something along the lines of, the pain you're feeling now is kind of not as bad as losing, almost. Yeah, losing's worse.
Yep.
Do you feel being in the military helped you with that?
I think the military, I think it gave me discipline that I didn't have. It gave me structure. And yeah, it forced you not to quit. Again, there's a couple of other phrases, the whole kind of put your hand in a fire and kind of keep it there. It teaches you that quite well. And to enjoy it. You start to kind of enjoy that pain. A lot of why I run is to feel that. I don't particularly enjoy the easy miles. I really enjoy the hard sessions where you're, on your knees, 190 heart rate, throwing up, doing whatever you need to do. That's kind of why I'm running. If I'm not getting that, I'm not enjoying it.
And you mentioned that you'd like to dip your toe into the ultra pool fairly soonish. Do you have any dream races or bucket list races of any discipline that you'd like to do?
Yeah, a UTMB. Not even close, 100%. Yeah, that's I will run that, and I will run well.
If it the full one?
Yeah, me and my wife hiked the Tour de Mont Blanc 2 years ago. So we went and we just self-guide hiked that. And it was unbelievable. Yeah, it was probably the best trip of our life. So he plans to take the wee Ian back. I'll carry the wee Ian around it in about a year or so, then go back and race it.
I did it back in 2014 and fantastic race. The thing I found was you can't train for it in Scotland. There's just like you can run up to the top of Ben Nevis and then you're only quarter way up the hill.
Yeah, no. If I need to move it to Chamonix for a bit, I'm sure I could manage.
Sacrifices.
But that definitely it was, to be honest, it was probably the best end way. It'd been the dream when I was a says until we'd done that hike. I will do the best end way just because. But yeah, I don't think it's even close to the TMB for me.
And is there? This might be a depressing question, or it could be a enlightening question. Is there anybody that you would like to run with, either alive, not fictional, not?
I'm not sure it would be depressing. If I stick alive,
it doesn't need to be depressing. It can be like your wife. If you want to run UTMB with your wife, that is the perfect answer.
Yeah, she needs to get training then, so she. We're actually sidetracked that. We plan to fast pack it before I race it at least. So we will go and fast pack it as well, just so we can do it as many times as possible. But current athlete, I would say alive, wouldn't even be a runner. It's a toss up for me. It's between Kilian Jornet and Lionel Sanders, the triathlete. It's probably Lionel for me.
And you mentioned that you've got, hopefully, if you can run it, 10,000 metres on Friday. Have you got any other races lined up for the rest of the year?
Yeah, loads. Actually, it's quite stressful. I've got it's mostly 10Ks actually just now because it's a little bit easier to manage. If I'm going to have a wee newborn instead of trying to run a million miles. So 10,000 Friday if I make it. Then I'll be at the West Districts, the Glasgow Babcock. That's got a really good field this year. I think there's maybe 3 or 4 guys run 28 minutes, so it's going to be a quick race. So that'll be the next one. I think that's in 2-3 weeks maybe. Then it'll be on to the Brian Goodwin, then Kilmarnock for the Scottish Champs, road 10 kilometres. Then hopefully after that, Glasgow again, probably Glasgow half. If not a marathon, if things go well and we've got a good sleeper, potentially a marathon at the end of the year.
I keep everything crossed for you. You have got a good sleeper then? Have you got a marathon in mind towards the tail end of the year?
I've not even thought about it. To be honest, my plan was, not to derail it again, same as a lot of the boys, was to try and run the Commonwealth standard for the marathon. So I think his previous one was about 2:15:12. So the aim was to make a good crack at that, but then obviously they've pulled the marathon from the Commonwealth Games, so that kind of scuppered my plans a little bit. So yeah, I'm not even sure marathon wise what to do. It's one of them ones I want to run a quick one, but again it's a lot of work and a lot of training, a lot of sacrifice to potentially qualify for nothing. There's not really any marathon races for Scotland or Britain you can race or get selected for just now, and I'm not going to run the world standard. The standards for the world just now are ridiculous. So yeah, I'm not sure marathon wise. I'd like sort my 10k time out, then it might be straight to ultras.
And have you got an idea of, you're obviously fast, but like the West Highland Way is the race that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of time would you be aiming for?
Whatever the course record is, somewhere about there. What is it, about 11 hours, 12 hours, something?
13:42.
Aye, so under 15 then, start with.
So the course record holder needs to watch. You're coming for him.
Yeah, Mr. Rob Sinclair. I was the support for Rob when he set the record, so that's why I know it right.
I'll rope you in to help me then.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, same as road races. The one is I'll just go out quick, and if you die, you die. I'll get to the finish line no matter what state. So maybe 15 hours, maybe 20. But I would try for a quick time.
And before, well, Friday night you've got a big race coming up. If you're allowed to be there, depending on what happens with your wife, do you get nervous before it?
Yeah, not all races, big ones, yeah. So last week I raced the Scottish the Scottish District 10 mile. Some races like that, not so much, to be honest with you anymore. But yeah, ones like Friday, I think it's worse because it's on the track. 25 laps of track feels about 25 miles. I don't know why, but the laps of the track are just brutal. So yeah, I'll be nervous before Friday. Plus, when it's an evening race, you've got all day to sit and think about it and overthink it, and also waiting for there'll be pacers and things like that. So I'm waiting to see what time the pacers will be going out at. And quite often it's, for myself anyway, it's two pacers and it's always one too quick and one too slow. So you end up stuck in kind of no man's land with the choice of just go with the pace and just hope for the best. So yeah, I'll be nervous before Friday.
And injuries, have you had any major injuries?
Yeah, but the start of my career, if you want to call it that, yeah. Because I went from basically not running for 10 years to running 70 miles a week overnight, then yeah, you just spend forever injured. So Achilles, calves, everything. Recently, my last race with Scotland was August last year in Antrim. So I think I had a wee kind of minor tear in my hamstring there. Then I struggled from August right through actually. Then I just kind of got back into decent shape for February. I raced the County 5 mile, which I managed to win somehow. Then wrecked my quad doing that. So I've only probably had about 7 weeks of good training just now. It's been probably the hardest 8 months of running I've had with injuries. I've been running, but maybe only 100 kilometres a week and cycling and gymming a lot.
And how do you recover from? We said that you, Nicky asked about your quads. What would you do to recover after a big race when you're hurting?
If I'm injured, hurting, you mean?
Well, no, just DOMS sort of thing, or just general running fatigue.
Yeah, I just keep running.
Run.
Yeah,
more,
no, just
forget about it.
Run a little bit, get a dog a big walk. Try not, especially a few days after it, fuel up plenty, hydrate plenty. I think if you're not drinking enough after anything over a 10k, you'll really be suffering muscle-wise with cramps and things. So plenty of fluids after it, but plenty of walking. My wife walks like mad, so I get dragged out all the time anyway.
And you mentioned pizza before, and you're saying fuel up afterwards. What would be? Do you follow any particular diet? What would be your normal diet during the day?
I'm not on anything specific. And it will probably change depending on my day. So again, Monday when I'm doing 2 easy runs, I wouldn't eat as much fuel, if you will. But then leading into a kind of Tuesday, leading into a Friday where I'm maybe going to be doing 30 plus kilometres over the day, then I'll probably have 1,000 plus calories extra, and try and get again more protein in that day. But I'm not super picky. I'm sitting here with some food next to me. I've got these sardine bars and that next to me just now. I love a sardine. I don't eat a lot of meat actually, so I take a lot of kind of protein shakes, protein bars, that kind of stuff. I'm not vegetarian, but I just don't love meat.
And last question from me is, do you have a preferred race distance?
I would have said half marathon, but I've had a lot of success at 10k. Probably, I don't know. 10k on the road. Just now, anyway. 10k on the road.
Is there a reason for that, or is it just?
I'm not sure. It's kind of the sweet spot. It's still really, really long. It'd be a kind of mental grind, but it's short enough that you can just almost sprint it. So it's in that kind of middle ground. 5Ks, I don't love a 5K. I don't like travelling for a 5K. It's a long way to go to run for a few minutes. It's the 10K is worth it. But yeah, I'm not sure. I do like a half. But again, especially up in Scotland, a lot of the time you end up on your own and you're just running every race solo, and it's a bit, it's tough. It's a bit soul destroying sometimes.
Somebody said to me that you should only do races that your travel time is less than your race time. But if you're running so fast, then you can't go very far. You get to Glasgow, but that's about it.
I know, that's the thing with the cross country season, because they're 4 kilometres, and for us a lot of the time they're away on the end of Scotland, and you're going to run for 11, 12 minutes. And it's always crap weather. It's a long way to go.
I said it was the last question, but I've just thought about another one. You said Friday's race is 25 laps of the course. Mm-hmm. How do you keep count?
Well, it's a track race with Scottish 10,000. So there's a wee track marker. I really wish there wasn't, to be honest. I think they should just have nothing until about 10 laps to go, then show you a 10-lap countdown.
Okay.
I don't think there's a need to have 25 at the start. We all know we've got 25 laps to go. But yeah, probably just switch off anyway. I would just lose count until they ring the bell. But it's only 400 metres a lap, obviously, but 25 laps of that's I don't know why, but it is a long way.
Do you lap people?
No, not in the A race. The races will start at maybe 5 or 6 at night, and they'll work their way through till the kind of Scottish Champs A race. So there's not that many of us. There's maybe only 10, 15 in the race. So unless someone's having they've kind of crumbled a little bit. But I mean, the slowest guys maybe running, I don't know, 31 minutes, something like that, is the kind of back guy of our race. So it's unlikely to lap someone.
I'm guessing if somebody's having that bad a race, they're probably going to drop out anyway.
Just amazing. Someone that came and watched it the last time I ran was a Macy. 20 of us started. You're probably talking about 50% walked off the course. Again, because you can obviously see your pace about 200 metres, and if I'm trying to run 30 minutes, which is 36 seconds per 2 or 72 per 400, 448 per mile, 3 minutes per kilometre, you know pretty early on if you're going to make it or not. And a lot of people get 3 kilometres in, they're a bit off pace, they're dying, and they just walk off, which is super common. It's more common in the A races probably than it is any other race, because most people just want to finish. But a lot of the guys, if they're there for a time, it's not their day, they just call it quits.
I can understand they need to be ready to race again in a couple of weeks, so they need to. What's the point in putting in the effort if you're not going to reap the rewards?
Yeah, that's where I've finished everything. I would crawl if I had to. So you see some terrible times for me because I've just finished in a state.
I've only ever DNF'd once out of 62 ultras, so I like your spirit.
Yeah, you need to shoot me, I think.
I've just thought of another question as well before we sign off. You say about a 25 lap track. Would you not consider doing a 24-hour track race?
So I've seen quite a few of that. And actually, when I first started running, I'm going to butcher his name, but I ran a little bit with kind of Marco Consani. in Derby. So the guy who took me on, Jude, was friends with them. So this is maybe 6-7 years ago. So I used to get him running the Kilpatricks and all that with a group of them. So yeah, I know he used to do a lot of that, and he'd be changing direction every 4 hours or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, the guy who's on the bike with me, he takes my wee videos and stuff like that for my Instagram. David, he's done quite a lot of ultras. He's went down and done maybe 50Ks on the track on his own, and he's done 100 kilometres on a 2-mile loop over by just where we stay. But 24 hours on this track, I don't know. So that's a lot.
Not yet. Not yet.
Never.
If there's a British Fest up for grabs or something like that, or something big to win, maybe. But yeah, you need a good Spotify playlist for that, I think.
Well, I know that Marco and Debbie know about the British Fest, so they'll keep you right.
Yeah, no, I prefer to do the kind of Perth 50K. I start with that one a little bit. I've done some training runs for that. I'd love to go and smash one of them out. I like the idea of that's about a kilometre loop, something like that. Maybe a little bit longer.
Something like that, yeah.
I prefer that. It's a bit better than 400 metres.
Well, we will see your name on the start list soon for an ultra and many other shorter races, I'm sure. From me, it's goodbye. Thank you, Nikki, for being Nikki. Thank you, John, for joining us.
Thank
Thanks
you
for coming on, John.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Right. See ya.